Mhm. Hi guys, it's Sana and Mona Ali here from Property Twins the Property Twins, and we have Gisele Adams. One, Gisele is a teacher by background, and in this case, Gisele has been our mentee as part of the Property Investors Academy, and Gisele has been one of the success stories of our beta program. So we wanted to run this live training. Yeah, so we wanted to catch up with Gisele and talk about her journey. Firstly, as a first-time investor and as one of our mentees in the Property Investors Academy, and how her experience has been and what her learnings have been, so you all can learn from it. And go through a bunch of questions. But before we do that, if you're watching us live, please could you pop in the comments below this video and let us know you can hear us. Or even if you're watching the replay, please put in hashtag replay, or just say hello to us so we know you are
That
there.
you're there.
Yep. And it's going to be a very interesting live. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing about Gisele's journey, as well as, the amazing property that Gisele purchased. So guys, just pop in the comments as you join that you are there. Welcome, Gisele.
Thank you.
So good to have you here.
Pardon?
Good to have
Can
you.
hear
Good to
us.
have you here.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Yeah, we've got Abdul. Hi, Abdul. We have 9 people watching. Sirat said sound is good. We need more people to say hello.
Before we dive in.
To Gisele before we dive into the training. I've got 2 screens here, so yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Shall we then get started? So,
Oh.
so Gisele, we've been talking for a number of years, right? Now, couple of years. So tell us a bit about, your background and what life was like before we met.
Well, as you've mentioned, I'm a teacher and I have 4 children. So life's pretty crazy and pretty busy. I am a homeowner already, so I have a mortgage, and I've always been interested in property. It's always been my dream to want to buy an investment property. And I guess it's been a lot of that, that term analysis paralysis. And then I stumbled upon you girls on Facebook about 3 years ago, I think now. And I'd followed a lot of property experts and, it's always been my passion, but something I loved the way you girls operated. And there was something about you that grabbed me, and I've been following you two for a while. And I did touch base with you girls 18 months ago and sort of had my financials done, but I guess I just wasn't mentally there yet. So then when you put out earlier this year in January that 5-day challenge, that was like, the point of no return for me. And it was like, that's what got me really excited again. And I did that 5-day challenge, and the rest is history. So
great.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell us, before you, I guess, joined the Property Investors Academy, how was life? Like, what were you going through in your mind?
I guess I'm on my own. So I knew that I needed to set myself, because I've had 4 children. I've worked part-time for a long time. So I've been back working full-time for a while, but working part-time with my 4 kids has impacted my super. And I really still don't have enough in my super to retire uncomfortably. So I knew that I wanted to buy property so that could kind of set me up to be a little bit more financially independent when I retire. So that was, rather, weighing up the shares versus property. And, for me, the property was a no-brainer. So, yeah.
Yeah.
And sorry.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like, what was the biggest challenge or struggle you had with property itself or investing in property?
Okay. For me, I've bought and sold a few houses over the years and love the process, and found that process really easy. To buy something that I wanted to live in was easy. But to find a property as an investment for me was just a totally different experience. You're looking for there's a different objective, different goals, and different outcomes. So what I would be looking for in an investment property is quite different to what I would want to be looking for as a homeowner to live in it. And there was a lot that I didn't know, and I knew there was a lot I needed to learn. And I knew that I could not go into this blindly, and I needed help and some guidance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So then tell me about a low point or the rock bottom point when you realized like something had to change.
I guess that, I was getting closer to 50, and I knew that if I didn't do it soon, then getting finance would be harder. And I think just in my, in your mind, you have that time frame, and it's like, yep, I need to act soon. If I don't do this, I'll miss the boat. And also, property was starting to boom again, and I thought, yeah, I need to get in, need to do this, not just for me, but for my children, so I can set them up down the track. And then once I've done that, maybe then teach them how to do the same and how to get into the property market. So that the age thing was looming in the back of my mind. I also wanted to get a big chunk of my current mortgage paid off, and it was finding that balance of having more equity in my property that I live in, and striking that balance and not knowing when was the right time. And when I reached out to you girls 18 months earlier, I was able to borrow less, obviously, because I had less equity in my home. And I guess that was kind of a bit scary at that time as well. So when I touched base with you again in January and did all my finances, I was actually quite surprised at how much I could borrow. And it was substantially more than what it was 18 months ago. So, yeah, it's kind of just getting the right timing and being in the right headspace as well.
Yep. So, say when you joined the Property Investors Academy, like say day one or just in the lead up to it, what was the number goal you wanted to achieve as part of that, and why was it important to you?
In terms of what I could borrow?
No,
No,
in
number one
terms of
goal.
in terms of joining the academy, what was the number one goal that you had in your mind that I have to do this, and why was it important?
I knew I needed to buy an investment property, but do it soon. And I didn't want to be dragging it out too much further. And I knew you girls had put out a little bit of a thing that you were looking for people to join the academy, but it was a select group of people, and it had to be somebody who was genuinely motivated for it to happen quite soon. And I was there. I was almost there 18 months ago, but not quite. So I knew when I saw that, I'm like, pick me, please pick me. I'm so ready for this now. And I knew in my mind, you were the girls I was going to go to. I knew that 18 months ago.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
that's very kind of you, Gisele. That's very kind. So, yeah, see, the thing is, motivation needs to come from you or the investor themselves, really.
Yes.
Because time to time we get asked by people, also it's not lifetime access, but then, if it's not really a finite amount of time, and if you're not ready to take action, you might as well procrastinate and do nothing. So the
That's
goal of the
right.
program is to actually direct you to help you make a decision rather than have you sit on the sidelines and say, oh, I'll do it when I get around to it.
Yes. And that's exactly where I was at. And I knew in January this year, I'm ready. I was absolutely ready.
And I know just how you said you were going to come to us whenever you were going to be ready, but I'm still curious, what other things did you try to achieve this goal?
I guess I've just been doing my own research and following a couple of different property groups on Facebook. Like I said, I've always been interested in property, and I've kind of looked at investing a few times. I think for me, it was gut feeling. It was, which I very much trust instinctively, trust your gut. I liked a lot about the property twins because you weren't just, there's a lot of property gurus out there. on social media who claim to do this and claim to do that, but I knew from following you for such a long time that you had walked the walk. So you had not only had you invested yourself so many times, so you had so much experience to share with other people, but both of you had that finance background as well, which was just like a bonus. It was like the Property Twins, the fact that I can do my finance through you and get some mentoring from you, it was just the complete package. And not just that, it was your story, it was you as people, it was you were real. Your intentions to help people were real. And there, trust me, we would know there's a lot of, so-called property experts out there and who have not walked the walk. And that's what just straight away I sensed and picked up on. So that's why I reached out to you 18 months ago. And then again, in January this year. So
and why didn't you think they would work for you?
Why would you work for me?
No, as in why wouldn't other programs or solutions? Why do you think? I mean, you refer to there's many gurus out there. Why do you think they wouldn't work for you?
I just like the structure of this. I like the fact that the 90 days. It kind of ties in with, when you get your finance approved, it's usually for a 90-day period. So it and not just the time frame, but the structure of the course, what you were offering. You were offering to teach us how to do it ourselves. So mentoring us to do it the first time, and then to learn the ropes, so then we could go out independently and do it again ourselves. And even though I may not be able to do a second investment property, I've learnt the tools to then do this, help my children do this. So yes.
So would you say the ease of implementation is part of the program, that you can pretty much cut to the chase?
Yes.
And get to the outcomes.
I love the structure of it. It was, we're all busy. Everybody is flat out. We're in a really busy world, really. And I loved the structure that it was once or twice a week, 2 time slots, so suited different people. For me, it needed to be nighttime because I was working during the day, but you were catering for, stay-at-home mums and people that work from home, having a session during the day as well. So it was intense in that there was a lot to learn, but it wasn't all-consuming in that I could juggle it with my working full-time. And, some days I would be walking in the door at 6 o'clock and then having enough time to sit and get myself sorted and then turn my laptop on. And the structure of it was good and it suited me. So even though we had homework tasks to do, because really, we're doing this course and we need to make it happen, it was also quite flexible. So I liked the homework tasks. I liked that you gave us time to complete the homework tasks, and ultimately we could run it at our own pace, but the goal was to do it within 90 days, and that was certainly the goal for you girls who created the course, and that was the goal for me too.
Even though we have extended it to 120 days, we still firmly believe most people should be able to do their purchase within that period.
And by extending it, I mean, obviously there's some people where life does get genuinely in the way, and it just doesn't happen for whatever reason. But for me, it was the push I needed. It was like, yep, let's do this. Let's get on with it.
Yeah.
Let's not procrastinate.
If there's time constraints, then you're more likely to make it happen than otherwise, really. Then imagine it's in a moving market, especially in a rising market that you purchased in. Then if you think that you have forever to buy, then you'll never be able to buy because...
That's right.
Or some people look for that unicorn deal when there is, sure, you do find once in a lifetime deals time to time, but if that's all you're going to look for, you're going to miss 9 in 10 opportunities or 99 in 100 opportunities. So you just have to make it happen.
Absolutely.
And no property is perfect. That's what we found, right? In this journey.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. And Gisele, you mentioned that, you've started following us, was it 3 years ago? Where did you find us?
On Facebook.
Okay. So somewhere we posted, or just...
Yeah, and a lot of property stuff comes up, I guess, because I
Yeah.
was always searching and I was always looking on, different platforms for property deals. I guess,
Yeah.
you guys popped up and I started following you and I thought, wow,
Yeah.
I like this. Yeah.
Great. And being in the Property Addicts group, that's where you came across the Property Investors Academy and our
Yes.
emails and that we
Yes.
send out.
Yes. So
Yeah.
I was in the property addicts group for a long time. Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where
And
I saw about the academy.
excellent. And tell us, what was your biggest fear or reservation about joining the program?
Well, firstly, my biggest fear about purchasing an investment property was buying a dud.
Mm.
And I didn't know how to source a good place in a good area. And at the time, I honestly did not think I could afford Sydney or, surrounds. I thought my budget would only extend to, say, interstate or so that was my biggest fear, was having to buy interstate and not knowing the market. I was really familiar with the Sydney market, but couldn't afford this. Well, thought I couldn't afford the Sydney market. So that was my initial fear. In terms of fears about joining the academy, I actually didn't have any.
That is so cool.
I honestly didn't have any. It was like I was so excited to join that academy because it's like, yes, it's happening. I just knew. It was like, okay, I've invested in this. It's now happening. I
Yeah.
had absolutely no doubt I'd made that
Yeah.
commitment.
And can you tell us about, the moment you decided to join the academy?
I think I was hassling you girls. It's like, come on, when's it starting? When's it starting? I was so excited because I think the initial start date was pushed back a couple of weeks for various reasons. And it was like, yeah, I was just so excited to make it happen finally. And I'd had my finance approved and I mentioned before that was for me, everyone's different and everyone does it differently. But for me, it was I found it easier doing my finance through you girls as mortgage brokers. Just because I think you just tied up all the loose ends easier. You knew what was happening with my finance and you knew what was happening with so no, I was excited. I couldn't wait for it to start.
And how was it once it started?
It was fantastic. I was so excited. It was like, come on, let's go. Let's go, 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 go. And I learned so much. For someone who follows property all the time, it was amazing just how much I learned. I learned, how to do the cash flows and how to look for what to look for in a house as an investment, as opposed to someone who's going to live in it. So first of all, what to look for in a house. The things that you would look for in a house as someone who's going to live in it, it's very different to what you're going to look for as an investor. So, we learned how to do that. And then the next thing was, okay, now let's narrowing down on a suburb. And that was hard, like not hard, but it's like, oh, wow. Like, it's like finding a suburb was like finding a needle in a haystack. Because as an investor, your funds are limited. It's different to finding somewhere where you want to live, because you're looking for somewhere where there's great capital growth, or for someone else it might be great positive cash flow, depending on what you're looking for. So that was interesting. It was like eye-opening and it was exciting all at the same time. And that was probably the hardest bit for me in terms of doing all the homework, like sitting there and looking at all the data and going, okay, what about this suburb? What about this suburb? And you get a feel for what areas you can afford, but that's within your budget, and then narrowing down even more. So you've got an area or an LGA, and then within that LGA, okay, what suburb? And so it was so exciting to do all that homework and work that out and look at the data and go, oh, I didn't think I could afford there. Oh, like, it was great. It was really good.
So it's just really applying the trainings of the program to and using the various data sources to come up with that conclusion as to what you need to do for your own goals and your needs.
Yes, absolutely. So the homework task that we were given really was what enabled me to find the perfect house for me, because in the sessions, group sessions, we would learn about different things, and then we'd be sent away with our little homework task, and we'd share that homework task with the group, and honestly, that's how I learned how to do it.
But what makes me curious is if you did not have that, where do you think you would be right now?
Oh, I would still be in analysis paralysis. Will I, won't I? When am I going to do this? What's a good area? Like just not. I'd be quite clueless, to be honest.
And an interesting question we got asked today, or Sirat got asked, was, well, wouldn't there be competition between the group members who are attending the group sessions?
Oh, no. This is the interesting thing, because as I mentioned, some days I'd walk in the door and, be rushing and set up my laptop and join the group, and there was this sense of we're all in this together. We're learning the same things, and some of us were in different states, and some of us were, not that far geographically from each other, but our needs were all different. Our wants were different. We had different budgets. We had different objectives. Some of us were looking at houses, some of us were looking at units, and some were looking at townhouses, whatever. So we were all looking for different things, but we had the same objective to purchase an investment property, and we kind of bounced off each other. We helped each other.
The group worked well together, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. And some days I would be so tired from work, and I'd join in, and I would just sit back and observe and listen to the questions and listen to the discussion and soak it all in. And then someone would ask something that I would ask, and I'm like, oh, God, I'm glad they asked that, because that's what I would want to ask. And I'm the sort of person that I can learn a lot from just sitting back and observing and listening to other conversations. And that suited me. But what I loved about the group sessions was that at the end, if I hadn't contributed, you girls would touch base and go, so what do you think, Gisele? What have you learnt this week? So you gave us that flexibility that where you weren't putting pressure on us, but you were in another way. You were like, well, tell us what you've done this week. But you allowed us the freedom to just go at our own pace, but with that gentle nudging. Come on, tell us what you've learned. Tell us what you've done.
Can I share, whilst I'm really happy for everyone's success, and based on the people who could actually go and purchase the program, I'll share with you, I calculated it's 83% success rate in terms of buying property. I'm very proud of that. But secretly, I don't want this group to graduate.
Yeah, I know. It's like we kind of were all in it together. It was like, what do you call it? The foundation group, and
founding members,
and everybody shared their successes. And for me, the place that I purchased was my second one. As you know, the first one fell through because I wasn't happy with the pest and building, and it was so disheartening. But to come back to the group, and everyone's like, but you've made the right decision. You might have lost $2,000 here, but down the track, you dodged a bullet. And so everybody celebrated each other's successes, and that was just lovely.
Yeah,
absolutely lovely.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of it as well.
Yeah.
And what were the most helpful lessons or takeaways, and how did you apply them?
Okay, learning how to use a lot of the data and how to work with that, because there was a lot of, and that was one of the things that, going back a year or two, was like, where do I find this information? How do I do this? So there were different tools that we learnt, and we could take that away, apply what we'd learnt, and then come back and share that information. It was just fantastic. It was information that I did not know how to access, and I did not know how to use. It was invaluable.
So I'm curious, I guess for the group's benefit, like in general terms, what did you buy? How much was it? What's the rent expected?
Okay, so firstly, as I mentioned before, I didn't think I could afford Sydney, and then I was pleasantly surprised that I could afford Sydney. But that was sort of beginning of March, and the Sydney market was going crazy. So in the end, I was spending a lot more time looking further west, sort of Western Sydney, and I ended up, I was weighing up between just south of Sydney and Western Sydney. It was around the same, you know, my budget was 800. And I ended up buying just near south of Wollongong. But for me, it was an area that I had always loved. It was near the beach. And I know with property investing, you, as a general, will keep the emotion out of it. But for me, this particular purchase was also potentially a retirement spot. And this area, I was close to the beach. It had good projected growth area. It had great rental return. The rental return was what I needed, you know, when we did our cash flows. And I just like, well, first of all, I bought a place in St Clair, and that didn't work out after the Peston building, and I was really upset with that. But I thought, no, onwards and upwards, you know, it's meant to be, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found this other place. I think it was.
And there were a few learnings after that, right? When we had our group training as to how you could have avoided purchasing that potentially.
Yes.
Based on the data.
Yes. And the data was really important because it teaches you, you know, the metrics of how to look for those growth areas. And that's what enabled me to choose what I chose. So, you know, I said there was a bit of emotion in that purchase, but it wasn't just emotion. It was all, you know, looking at the data and knowing it was a good growth area and that was good rental return, and it ticked, you know, 99% of the boxes. So we're still in the settlement stage, had a slightly longer than average settlement, which suited me because I had a lot of other things going on at work and whatever. So, yeah, so I'm really looking forward to learning that in the next couple of weeks, all about property management as a landlord is something, you know, that even that saying that sounds like, woo, you know, it's so exciting.
Absolutely. And tell us, Gisele, what surprised you the most about the Property Investors Academy?
This is a tricky one because it lived up to my expectations. I had high expectations. So there was, I guess maybe the comradeship with the members was just lovely. And, you know, we'd check in every week and I was like, oh, hi. But in terms of the delivery of the course and the content of the course, it didn't surprise me because my expectations were high and it met my expectations. And yeah, so that I don't know if that's what the answer you're looking for, but honestly,
Bhavin asked for an alumni meetup, but only when Melbourne's out of lockdown, I suppose.
yeah, and it was lovely just chatting to, you know, people like interstate, and you know, there was quite a few members who, you know, one was getting married, and you know, everyone had their little backstory, and it was lovely seeing everyone sharing our successes. Yeah, and learning from other people, because I think there was another member who purchased something and I think that fell through as well. So it's like you could kind of bounce off each other and say, so, you know, what happened, and share with each other's stories and learn from each other.
Absolutely. And what was the hardest part about the Property Investors Academy?
The hardest part, at times there were doing the homework, was a little bit time consuming, but like anything, you have to put the effort in. We're all busy. It doesn't matter what we're doing. Life these days is busy for everybody, and you just have to make that commitment. It's like, yep, this is going to happen. So I have to make time to do the homework. And, you know, there wasn't homework every week, but I think when I was doing the homework, it was like in researching different suburbs. You know, I think I've researched 30 suburbs. So it's like, I spent a lot of time on it because I really wanted to get it right, or at least make an informed decision. I didn't want to purchase something and go, oh, I didn't look at that area, or I didn't look at that area. So, you know, that was a little bit time consuming, but you don't get anything for nothing. You know, you have to put the effort in.
And at least you know that when you purchase, you've ticked the boxes that you had to tick, right? There's no
so there's
kind of stone left unturned.
So there's no regrets for me. And, you know, and I was weighing up two different areas, Western Sydney, South Coast, with, you know, but they both had similar growth projection. They both had, it was just in the end, it came down to that area or that area, you know, and very happy with my decision.
Great. And during this process, like, did anyone discourage you within the program or outside the program, or make the process harder for you?
No, they didn't. A lot of people knew I was doing this property course. But when I make a decision to do something, and I knew I'd made that decision and that commitment to doing this course, I kind of just go, you know what, this is it. I'm doing it. So I tend to block out any sort of unnecessary noise anyway. But a few people knew I was doing it, and they were like, wow, what is this? What is this course? Where did you find it? How? Who's offering it? You know, like, so I do have a few friends, and I'm trying to encourage them, you won't regret it. Do this course, you won't regret it. It's the best investment ever.
Excellent.
Thank you. And did you ever feel like you wanted to quit?
No, never, ever. Ever. It was like, this was like my dream. It was like when you, like I said, when you girls advertised on the property addicts page that we're looking for people to do this course, I think I emailed you and said, please pick me. I really was this was exactly what I was looking for. It was like I just needed someone to not hold my hand, but just guide me through and be there for me if I had a question, and to be my mentor. And that's exactly what you girls were. You mentored us as a group, and it was fantastic because you were able to offer this mentoring to 15 of us, or whatever the final number was in that group. And then we also learned from each other. So I was so keen.
Can I just give you credit, Gisele, so that you were open? So thank you for being open to the learnings that came along with the process. Because, you know, Mona and I, we do property every day. So it's kind of become a second nature. And sometimes when you are imparting that knowledge to someone, you might think it's just a no-brainer. But someone might say, oh, I didn't think of it this way. And this is how it should be. So it's kudos to you for listening and being open to it.
Thank you. Well, you were great teachers, let me tell you.
Thank you.
Because you kind of feel, is that a bit of a stupid question? But no, there was no
coming from a teacher, I'll take that as a compliment.
Absolutely. Because, you know, there's so many questions, and you kind of go, I know this might seem like a stupid question, but there was none of that. There was none of that feeling silly or, you know, it was genuine, caring, nurturing guidance.
Thank you so much.
And what was the first big win when you joined the academy? What was the first thing that you felt, okay, this is a big win for me? Or the moment that you realized that, oh wow, this actually works,
this is actually happening? Yeah, well, I think it was maybe 4 or 6 weeks into it when I purchased the contract for the St Clair property, and it was like, you know, I'd done my analysis on the property, and I think Mona said, so are you going to make an offer? And I'm like, okay, I'll make an offer. It was like, this is real. This is actually really real. You know.
Yeah, you weren't doing it for practice. You didn't join the program for practice.
No, because, you know, we had to do all these property analysis. And for me, I like to see the property in person. So we were doing a lot of open homes and looking at properties, and, you know, and that gets my blood running. I love it. But for me, I needed to see it in person. So it was really exciting. And, you know, then we had the setback of, well, I had to pull out of the sale, and that was upsetting. But, you know, as you girls said, you know, better to pull out now than, you know, pay all this money for problems down the track. And, you know, in the overall scheme of things, you know, the cost of your 25 deposit and your test and building inspection is nothing in the bigger picture.
Absolutely. And, you know, just your point on how I may have said, oh, are you going to put an offer? See, the program is designed to, I guess, push our mentees gently and help them make that move, because many times people keep going to open homes, but they just lack that confidence to just pull the trigger and just make something happen. And our goal is to empower our members our mentees to actually take that step and have the confidence, or provide them with the confidence that they can do it.
And that's exactly right, because we were going to lots of open homes in lots of different areas. So like one Saturday we'd hit the, Penrith St Mary's area, and another weekend we kind of hit a different area, and we're looking at so many properties, and it's like you kind of go, well, that one's okay and that one's okay. And by the time you go, you know what, I might put an offer, bang, it was gone. So even though that was to, our detriment to start with buying in a rising market, it also kind of just went, you know what, we've got to do it. Like, no dilly-dallying, because you'll miss out.
Yeah, I was speaking with someone earlier today, and they said exactly that in the Sydney market, that things are just gone before they know it. I think the academy, in my view, is designed to empower our members, so they're actually prepared with the pre-work. So when they actually do look at the property, they're able to make the decision quickly and put that offer, rather than go to an open, come home, think about it, have some tea, have dinner, and then by the time you get done with that,
and before you know it, 6 months is gone and you still haven't purchased.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So it's deliberate action and making quick decisions.
Yeah. And look, as we said at the start of the program, with clarity comes certainty, and the clearer you are, the more quicker you'll be able to make a decision. And if you don't know what you're looking for, then everything will look the same.
And I knew what I wanted in terms of, I wanted a house and land. I didn't want townhouse or unit. So I was very clear in that bit, but the location was the bit for me. And I remember that phrase, with clarity comes certainty, really resonated with me. And I went, yeah, I need to get really, really clear. And I think that's why I researched about 30 suburbs and spent a lot of time. I think we spent a whole weekend just researching different suburbs, and went, I need to be clear about where I want to be. And that, the tools that you gave us to do that certainly gave me clarity. But there were two catchphrases that just really sort of pushed home with me. And the one was, I was in this state of analysis paralysis for such a long time. But then the second one was, with clarity comes certainty. And that was like, absolutely, I need to get really explicitly clear on what I want.
Yeah.
And the course helped me to do that.
So I guess, what's the biggest and the most exciting result you achieved? Tell us the moment that happened. I know we were on a live.
So I have never bought a house at auction. I've bought a few houses and sold a few houses, and I have never ever bought a house at auction. And I'd filled in all the forms because it was down in Wollongong, and the agent was going to bid on my behalf. And my sister lives down there, and she's like, "Are you crazy? Let me go and bid for you." And so I was on the phone to her when she was bidding, and it got within, my budget was 800, and I'd put an offer in prior to auction for 780, and they knocked it back. And fair enough, they wanted to see what they could get in this rising market. And so it went to auction, and I was on the phone to my sister, and little did I know, my brother-in-law was filming the auction, so I was able to watch it back later, which was fantastic. And it started at 7, and it was going 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, and it was going really, really, really fast. And then it stalled at 760, and I'm like, I was getting excited. But we hadn't put in a bid yet at that point. We were like waiting to the last, when it was just about to hammer go down, then come in as a bidder that no one saw coming. And it worked brilliantly for us, because it got to 790, and my sister's like, what do you want to do? Do you want? I'm like, no, hold off. And then someone put an offer for 790, and then they went first offer, second offer, and I went, quick, go. And my sister went 795, and everyone was like, where'd she come from? She was right at the back of the room, and she's been to a lot of auctions as well. She's like me, we both love property, and everyone just went, holy crap. But obviously it worked, because no one came back. So you
held back till the end.
Yes, so that one and only bid won up for us, and I heard him go 795 once, 795 twice, and I heard the hammer go down, and my sister went, you just bought a house. And this was literally like 20 minutes before I got on with you girls. I was just like, oh my God, I was sitting exactly where I am now. And my 23-year-old daughter was here, and we're just like, it was just so exciting. I couldn't wait to jump on and tell you girls. And ironically, that was the price I paid for St Clair. It was 795 as well. So
it's just meant to be.
It was
It
just
was
the
meant to be.
perfect pricing,
Yeah.
perfect rental
And you know what?
return.
I'm a massive believer in if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. But by the same token, you actually have to take action to make it happen. You know, like you've got to be in it to win it kind of thing. And when that other house fell through at St. Clair, it was like, well, it's disappointing. It's 2.5 grand down the drain. But for whatever reason, it wasn't meant to be. There's a better house out there. And then you girls said that there's a better house out there for you, Gisele. And I was like, yeah, there is. And there was.
Yeah. Yeah, we have found that whenever we've missed out on a deal, there's been better opportunity.
There's always better property for you.
And there's a reason for it. You just have to accept that. There's a reason it didn't work out, and there's always a better one around the corner.
Yeah, and hindsight, right? And then you can say, okay, these are the reasons why it didn't work. And
yes, 100%. So, you know, it was I'm still on a high, and even though we haven't settled on it yet, it's been 5 weeks.
Wow, time has flown.
I know, and it's just I'm really excited. It's a beautiful house. It's in a beautiful area. It's you know, I still can't believe it. I'm still, you know, I'm in shock that I've bought
you did it.
investment. Yeah, I did it. I was just like,
yeah.
I still am in shock. It's still very exciting.
Awesome. And were there any other major milestones that you have achieved during this time apart from this purchase?
I guess it's just such an empowering feeling to know. I'm a single mum. I've been a single mum for 12 years. And, you know, my little one, my youngest, was only 3. So it was a hard road financially. And for the last, you know, I bought the house that I live in, I bought 8 years ago in my early 40s. And I had to start again. You know, it was really hard at the age of, 40, in my early 40s to buy what a first home buyer would be buying. And, you know, we'd bought several properties before that. So to have to start again in my 40s was like, it was daunting, but it was like, no, I'm going to do this. And I just pumped every little cent I could into that mortgage. And I guess I'm so happy with that decision, because if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have been able to borrow what I could borrow now to buy this second house. So, you know, as a single mom of 4 beautiful kids, you know, and at the time, I made a decision: do I work part-time and be there for my kids, or do I get ahead? And I made that choice to work part-time, but I was still able to make it work, you know, and I just had the right people around me. Thank you to you girls, and pumped as much as I could into my first mortgage, and then just able to miraculously get finance for a second. You know, not miraculously, but, you know,
you worked for it.
I worked for it. I worked really hard for it. But I knew 12 years ago I was going to buy another house, and then I was going to get myself into a position to buy an investment property. And I guess I was just looking for that someone to guide me, you know, and here I am 12 years down the track, and it's done it, you know. Of course, I don't own the house yet.
No, but you know, you're on your way. You're on your way.
Yeah. But I'm there, and what I set out to achieve 12 years ago, I've now achieved, and it is such an empowering position to be in, you know, from where I've come from. And I guess that's why I gravitated to you two as well, because knowing your history and where you two girls have come from, and to see where you have succeeded and taken it, I thought, wow, these girls are I look up to you because of what you've achieved. And you've come from nowhere as well, you know. And I'm saying that in the nicest possible way, not a derogatory way. You've worked your butts off, and you've achieved what you've achieved. And, you know, you're such great role models.
Thank you so much, Gisele. I guess what I want to say is, you know, when the why is big enough, the how is easy. And I know, you know, you've been through a very tough road, and as have we in our own journey. But, you know, the whys were big enough to make it happen.
That's exactly right.
And when there's no why, right? People are like, I want a house in Bondi, my dream home in Bondi. And okay, well, let's keep waiting. You have to start somewhere.
Where? And that was the very first question you girls asked me in this course. Why? Why do you want to do this? Why do you want to be part of this group? Why? We need to know why so we can help you, because the
Yeah.
why needs to be strong enough
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make it happen.
Yeah. I think if someone's really comfortable, there's a high likelihood that they may not end up doing anything because they're just comfortable. There's no need to do anything, but you had a reason to
Yes.
make it happen.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And tell us, now that you have bought this property and, now, it's been ticked off, your goal has been achieved that you want it. So how is your life different and why is that important for you?
Like I was saying, like I feel like I'm where I wanted to be. I've reached that goal. I've achieved what I wanted to achieve. It's been, I won't say a long road, because but it has, it hasn't been easy. Like, raising 4 children on your own and looking after their well-being and financially still trying to do everything. I guess I'm in a position where I feel like, wow, I did it. And if I can do it, anyone can do it. And that's what I used to look at you girls and go, wow, they've done it. They've come to a new country and they've still done it, and they've done it bloody well. I want to be like that. I want to achieve this, and I know I can achieve it. I just need the right tools around me. So now, I've got 2 properties, and I know that, we've done all the cash flow. So I know that this is not going to be a difficult task to finance. We did all that work first. And like you said, you must do your cash flows first to know what you're dealing with. Otherwise, it won't work for you in the long run.
Yeah. Because many times people, I guess, a lot of people look at different resources, similar to like you follow different people on Facebook or different groups. The key challenge is putting it all together and saying, what are the steps do I need to follow to really make it work? How do I cut to the chase so that I have ticked off all or done all my due diligence that I want to do in the shortest amount of time possible and really implement it?
Yes. And that term due diligence, I used to hear it all the time. You've got to do your due diligence. And I knew it meant, you've got to do your research, but it was like, how? How do I do my due diligence? How do I do that? Like, I can't necessarily rely on real estate agents for information because they're just making a sale. It's like, I need someone I can trust. I need someone I can know who's done this before, who's got the financial experience as well, who knows how to do this, and someone that I know you can trust, because there's a lot of sharks out there. And I've said this a million times before with you and Sana. It's just like, it was like, you girls, you were it. I followed you and I went, you know what, they're the real deal. These are 2 people who have worked hard, who know what they're doing. They've walked this walk. They're not just selling a product. That they actually genuinely want to help people because they've been in this position. And that's when I went, yeah, I know exactly who's going to help me on this journey. If they pick me to do this, be in this group. So, and I know that sounds terrible, but I knew you were looking for people who were not going to waste time. You needed people in this group. There was a lot of people wanting to join this group, and it had to be people who were going to make it happen.
Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely. There's a few reasons for that. One, there's no point in investing into something if you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
2, because we don't want the program success rate to be low, right? We want people to actually go and use it and make
Of
it happen,
course.
right?
Of course.
Again, as I said earlier, you're not doing it for practice. You're doing this for results.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And, I guess if it was the practice was the goal, then, there's a lot of uni degrees as well for property, right? For 4 years.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of information out there, but it's actually putting that into practice.
Yeah, there's many courses. There's many of them. And what are you excited about next?
What am I excited about next? Retirement. No, that's a long way off. You know what really excites me is that I now have the tools to be able to help my children. My oldest daughter's 23, my youngest daughter's 15, and 2 boys in between. And I know now I have the tools to be able to, whilst I may not be able to buy another investment property myself, I can now rinse and repeat this process and help my children. And that is like so exciting because they will want to do this you know, my oldest daughter is wanting to do it soon, and we'll be in touch. But you know, I'll be able to help her, and that as a mum is like such a beautiful feeling to be able to help my own children
Awesome.
to set themselves up.
For
So
sure.
Property Investors Academy has given you the learnings for the long term, really. It wasn't
Oh,
like,
absolutely. I just, what I've learnt is just mind blowing.
it will stay.
Yeah, it will stay with me. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And Giselle, what advice would you have for someone who was in the same situation you were in before they joined the program? Before you joined the program, yeah.
I would definitely recommend anyone to buy it. And I've got a few friends who are in a similar situation, ready to buy their first investment property. And I'm like, honestly, you need to do this. You need to do it. This kind of sums everything up. There's no information in this course that is not needed. There's no information in this course that's going to waste your time. Everything in this course that you will learn will enable you to make this happen and make it happen quickly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
True. Again,
Yeah.
look, there's no point in talking about things that won't add value to the group, right?
Yeah.
Rather keep it
That's right.
to the
Yeah.
point.
So
And yeah,
I would recommend this course to anybody who is wanting to make that next step, because it's the best investment. Honestly, it really is. It really is the best investment.
thanks, Giselle. And is there anything else you would like to share with
I
us
just want to
here?
say thank you, girls. Like that, I know I keep coming back to it, but when you started saying, back in January, we're looking for, motivated people, it was just like, oh yes, this is, just if you, and I think also with the property twins, the fact that you have not just got that experience and that background, but you've got the mortgage broking experience as well as the buyer's agent's experience and your real estate agent's experience and your personal experience. It's like you've got everything in a nutshell at your service to assist you on this
Yeah.
journey.
Yeah, look, that's what I find in the real estate industry. There's many programs, right, out there, and
Yeah.
often you find a number of people running the programs have no credentials. They are not mortgage brokers or buyers agents
No.
or have any licenses for that matter. And that's what triggered us to anyway put this out because
Yes.
of the lack of compliance and lack of, uh, license advice, I would say. I mean, you can put it down. I mean, people can put it down that, the people have an agenda or they're a broker or they're a buyer's agent, but they have the education to back them as well and the experience, not just.
And that's what I mean when I was saying there's so many property gurus out there who claim to have all this, experience, but they really don't have the credentials to back them up. And you girls did. And it was for me, it was a no-brainer. You had the experience, you had the qualifications, you had, everything that you need to be able to offer this experience for people. And it's legitimate, it's genuine. It was nurturing, it was caring, it was the intention behind what you are offering is stood out to me. It was glaringly obvious that you were providing a service and a product that genuinely would help people rather than just making a sale.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Giselle. That's really
Yeah. And
appreciated.
honestly, it was so clear the difference.
Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it, Giselle.
Thank you, Giselle. And I guess in one last question before we go to the group for any questions they might have, is there anything you wish you had done differently?
The only thing I would advise that I wish I had done earlier, and I would advise to anyone else, do it as soon as you can. Do it as soon as you can, because if you start young and you start early, you can get in and get a few more investment properties. Obviously life circumstances for me were a little bit different. So just to get the one investment property is an achievement, and I'm really proud of that. But if you can do it, don't waste time. Just get in there, get it done. Have a look at what you can borrow, because I was so surprised this time, at the difference of 18 months, what I could borrow now to what I could borrow 18 months ago was amazing. So just, ask these girls to help you, because you may be amazed at what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you call that out. Like one of the group members, they're a finance client. I was on a Zoom chat with them earlier today, and I actually wanted to show the actual calculator how it works.
Mm.
And the feedback was, hey, I wanted to become a broker and I don't want to become a broker anymore
More.
because of
Yeah.
the complexity or the how the market is at the moment and how you need to structure deals. It is pretty complex.
Oh, look, I'm totally out of my depth. It's something that I just have no concept of when it comes to all of that stuff. And that's where, your expertise was just fantastic.
Yeah, it's many hours of effort, I guess, on our part, but it's really rewarding for us to see when our clients are able to achieve their
Yeah.
goals. It makes us just so happy and so proud that it's actually having an generational impact it's going to have on so many people's
That's
lives
exactly
and
right.
legacy that there will be over years to
Yes.
come or
Yeah.
decades
See?
to come.
Yeah. And this is what I was saying before. You can see that care factor is there. I can see that, and I've seen that from the very beginning with you girls. So thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you,
They're
Giselle.
just so proud of you. Just so proud of what
Thank
you've
you.
achieved and what you've done. Thank you, Giselle,
Well,
for trusting
thank
us.
you so much.
Yeah.
Honestly, the
Thank you.
gratitude is endless.
Oh,
Our
thank you.
pleasure. Well,
We
what
we are
happened?
very
Are you
yeah.
a bit teary?
Yeah.
No, I'm okay. Oh, Giselle is.
Yeah.
Were you asking me or were you asking
You,
Giselle?
you.
No,
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm all right.
Yeah.
But I'm just really proud of what you've done.
Thank you.
Given where you come from and the action that you've taken,
Thank you.
it's amazing and the difference it's gonna make to your children's lives as well in
Yes.
future. Yeah.
Thank you, girls.
Thanks.
Pleasure. So we'll just open the group to a few questions. We have a few people watching, and yeah, would be open to take. Maybe Giselle, if you're open, we could
Of
have some
course.
questions for
Yeah.
you. If someone,
Yeah. Yeah.
they can pop in the comments, guys. If you have any questions, please put them in.
Or if you're watching a replay, just put them in and then we'll check in with Giselle and come back to you with any responses or have Giselle respond to you. Let's see if we have any questions.
Maybe they're like me. I used to just sit back and take it all in.
Yeah, because a lot of the times people will watch at different times as well.
Yeah, and that was another good thing about the course is because sometimes I just couldn't get back in time from work, and I would watch the replay. So that was
Yep.
another great thing about it as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll just give it 30 seconds.
Yeah.
If anyone has any questions, but if not, then you can always pop them in later.
Yes.
We'll come back to you.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, actually, that was the more I think about it, that was great that you did the replay because there were a couple of times I missed the 6:30 session and would get into bed and just at 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night and then just watch the lesson over, and that was a great feature as well.
Awesome. I'm glad you found it all very useful, Giselle.
Thank you.
That was the goal, and given it was a first founding members program.
Yeah.
It was a bit of an evolving process.
Yeah, and I think we all learnt,
Yeah.
something from it.
For sure.
Abdul saying, excellent story, Giselle. Wish you best of luck.
Oh, thank you, Phil.
Oh, it's Abdul.
Oh, Abdul. Thank you, Abdul.
Yes.
If I can be, inspire someone like you girls inspired me, if I can do it, anyone can do it.
Well, if we can do it, anyone can do it. And Giselle, if you can do it, anyone can do it, right? Just different stories and
different backgrounds, different life experiences. You just need to.
The right guidance.
Yeah.
The right guidance.
When there's a why which is big enough, the how looks after itself.
Yeah. Yeah. But it was just the best course.
Thank you so much.
I don't think we have any questions at this stage. Perhaps we've covered everything that people were thinking, possibly.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but if there is anything, Giselle will let you know.
And I'm happy to answer.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Giselle. Don't close it just yet. So okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. And any questions, just pop in the comments, and Giselle or we will come back to you. And we'll be again live next week. And
on Monday, same time.
On Monday, same time.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. with Prakash's story and how Prakash offered on 7 properties and viewed 13 properties in one day. And that'll be very interesting as well.
And flew to Adelaide from Sydney as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you guys. We'll chat
Thank
soon.
you.
Bye.
Bye.